You've probably seen this happen. Two people ask the same AI for something similar. One gets back shallow, generic mush, and the other gets a precise, professional-grade analysis. Why? What's the difference? It has nothing to do with magic words. It's about understanding the system you're actually talking to. And that's exactly what we're going to get into. So what's the key here? It's not about memorizing a secret list of prompts. It's about learning to spot a fundamental signal in how these systems actually interpret what we want. It's a shift from worrying about what we ask to how we frame it. Let this one sink in for a second. This idea completely flips the script on who's to blame for a bad AI response. It's not that the model is dumb or broken. Most of the time, it's doing exactly what it was asked to do, but the instructions themselves were flawed. This is the core idea for our entire explainer today. The output quality is a mirror reflecting your input quality. And look, this isn't some niche AI trick that only works for one thing. This is a universal pattern. It's a mechanism that shows up again and again across every professional field you can think of. Take a developer, for instance. A vague system prompt is just an open invitation for chaos. You're going to get unpredictable, maybe buggy behavior. But if you clearly define the system's logic and constraints right from the start, you get consistent, reliable results. The same pattern holds true in really high-stakes work. A lawyer just asks for a contract. What do they get? A generic, basically useless template. But if they ask for a contract governed by California law, with specific clauses for arbitration and liability, now they've got a real workable draft. Or how about an analyst? Ask for market trends, and you'll just get back headlines you could have found on Google in 10 seconds. But constrain that same query by the fintech sector over the last 3 years. In focusing on specific data points, that's how you get actionable intelligence. And you even see this in creative work. Asking an AI to write a story is practically begging for a cliché. But defining a cynical character's voice, a dark comedy tone, and a clear 3-act structure, well, that forces the system to produce something far more unique. The pattern is crystal clear. Specificity and constraints are how you engineer quality. So, what is actually happening here on a systems level? It is absolutely crucial to understand that prompting isn't a conversation. It's not a chat. It's a form of systems engineering. You are literally shaping a probability space. So when you assign a role, when you say, you are a senior legal counsel, the AI isn't playing make-believe. It's not acting. This is a cold mathematical instruction. You are telling the model to radically shrink its vocabulary and only select words from the statistical distribution of language that a real senior legal counsel would use. You're changing its entire world of possibilities. And the difference is just night and day. With a weak or absent identity, the AI is pulling from this massive, generic soup of language. But when you give it a strong, assigned identity, and the output instantly becomes specific, coherent, and precise, you've essentially filtered out all the noise before the model even generates its first word. Now, this is another huge mental shift. Constraints aren't limitations. A word count, a specific format, a list of things to avoid, those aren't restrictions holding the AI back. They are objective functions. They are measurable goals that turn your vague idea into a clear optimization problem for the machine to solve. Think of it like this. A vague request has incredibly high entropy. It's a massive, chaotic universe of possible answers. By setting clear boundaries and constraints, you are collapsing that chaos. You're reducing the entropy. You're guiding the model from a near-infinite space of bad answers down a very narrow, well-defined path toward the right one. Okay, so understanding the system is one thing, but what's the actual, real-world cost of getting this wrong? Well, the price of ambiguity is steep, and it's paid in wasted hours and lost trust. The costs really are everywhere. Professionals wasting hours and hours trying to fix a generic output. Developers chasing phantom bugs for days when the error was in their prompt, not the model. Creators just getting buried under mountains of useless drafts. Analysts trusting a confident-sounding summary that's actually paper thin. And the common thread through all of it? Smart, capable people blaming the tool instead of their own instructional structure. And that's the thing. Failure in these systems is hardly ever a big, sudden explosion. It's more like death by 1,000 cuts. It is the slow, creeping result of one small instructional misalignment after another, all compounding over time into a massive failure. So how do you avoid all this? What's the edge that expert users have? It is not what they type. It is how they think, long before they ever write a single word. they operate from a totally different mental model. And this is that model. First, they define their intent, what they actually want, completely separate from how they're going to word the prompt. Second, they engineer boundaries. They translate that intent into measurable, objective constraints the AI can work with. Third, they consciously tune the level of specificity, balancing precision with room for the AI to explore. And finally, and this is probably the most important step, they verify. They treat every single output as a first draft, always, never the final answer.
So, to wrap this all up, let's take this from theory to practice. Here's a quick audit, just a few questions you can start applying to your own work right now.
Okay, first question. Be honest with yourself here. In your prompts, where are you asking the model to fill in a blank that you haven't bothered to fill in yourself? Where are you outsourcing a decision? Second question. Remember, an AI always sounds confident, even when it is completely making things up. So, what verification step are you routinely skipping just because the answer sounds plausible? And finally, the question that brings everything full circle. Just look back at your recent outputs. Which of them are vague, or generic, or just not that helpful? Now ask yourself, is it because your own original intent was just as vague?